All right. Here we go, back again on the other side of the coin.
All right, we are back again on the other side of the coin. And the boys, we are back. We've got Advaid. You guys would have seen him every now and then. Not only he was part of the streams last season when we played Real Madrid, which was amazing to have Advaid and his knowledge on Real Madrid side of things, but also you would have seen this particular trio. And obviously, we're missing Kunal. Kunal used to be part of it as well. But this particular trio, not that long ago, we did a video as well on Lionel Messi. And now we're back wanting to do a video on Jules Koundé. And the reason being is Jules Koundé playing in La Liga. We can get some info from Advaid, who watches La Liga a lot. He's a Real Madrid fan, as I said. And both Amir and I will try and present from a Chelsea perspective. Amir will try and he's got a whole notepad of stats ready to go. So that'll be very interesting. And then I've got some opinions on this whole matter as well, which will be great. But before we get into all of that, my man Amir, how you doing?
Yep, I'm pretty good. Pretty excited to talk about Koundé. I wasn't particularly excited with the links earlier, but then having gone through his stats, it's clear what kind of a defender he is, and it's clear to see why Thomas Tuchel wants him at Chelsea. So, yep, looking forward to talking about him, and hopefully he does live up to. Hopefully we get the deal over the line in the first place, and hopefully he does live up to it later on.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. Once you start putting some substance in terms of stats as to why he's deemed as one of the best defenders in La Liga, if not the best one for last season, which Advaid will let us know. Once you start putting some stats around it, you start understanding why Thomas Tuchel wants this particular defender. And I think that's the most important, message that we want to get out of this particular video is that why does Tuchel want him? I mean, we can and moan about the whole situation as a fan. Oh, we didn't need a defender, but we need to understand the context, which is fantastic. Advaid, my man, how's things?
Yeah, I'm doing great. It's great to be back on the channel again, talking about a player that I've watched a fair bit. And so, yeah, it's great to be back and looking forward to a good conversation.
Of course, my man. I mean, Real Madrid, they're going through a bit of a tough time, losing Sergio Ramos, losing Rafael Varane as well. So, and all the antics of last season, Zidane gone as well. I think you guys were linked with Koundé, so it would be very, very interesting to hear from your perspective about this particular player. But let's get straight into it. I'll kick things off and then I'll go to Amir about it. Boys, I want to first talk about this whole notion that's happening in the Chelsea community, and even some big, influencers or personalities in Chelsea community coming out and sort of subtly mocking this particular transfer rumor at the moment. And some are saying, "Oh, we've let Guehi go, and now we want to get someone like Koundé and." Is perhaps going to be a right-sided player, but then we've also got Azpilicueta and Reece James. I mean, yeah, it seems like Koundé is happy to be the third choice, and Guehi wasn't. Like, it's like subtly sort of trying to say that, oh, this guy is probably just going to come in as a third choice. The disrespect is what I'm trying to get to, is that concerns me about the Chelsea fan base. And this is where I want to start the first conversation with you two. First of all, I mean, look, I'm not going to sit here, guys, and I'm not going to say that Jules Koundé is someone that I've watched religiously last season. I can't say that because I haven't. But Jules Koundé is a particular link that is not new. I mean, the whole scenario right now, the way it's progressing, that's new. But the link of Chelsea getting him, that's not new. That's been a while for the past at least 2-3 months, at least, as I can recall. So when this first came about, probably 2-3 months ago, I started seeing a little bit more clips of him. I saw a few matches completely, especially the Barcelona one in recent times where he played amazingly against the Barca team. And I must say, when I look at the profile, and me, obviously you're going to tell us some stats and whatnot, but just the eye test, the guy is so good on the ball. He has the ability to take the ball from defense and drive straight through the midfield and really create chaos and open things up, which is, I think, something that Thomas Tuchel probably wants to see from his defender every now and then, as we probably have seen Rudiger a few times last season, the blockbuster drives that he'll do from the left side, it really opens things up, because when you've got the opposition marking every player and the passing lanes are blocked, you do need some sort of out-of-the-box sort of solution at times from players to do that. And Kurt Zouma is the other factor here. Last season, obviously, there were times where he would play, whether it be due to injuries and whatnot, or form dips for other players. Probably not form dips, more for injuries. He'd be getting that opportunity, and Thomas Tuchel wouldn't get that same sort of feel from him. And let's be honest, Zouma, that's not Zouma's greatest quality. I know we can throw that particular highlight of, what about Zouma against Ajax? He almost dribbled half the team and almost scored. I mean, how can you tell me he's not a ball player? But that's just a one-off. It's not that something that he does on a regular basis. However, Jules Koundé, as I said, great ball controller, great vision for passing, can press, counter press, which is exactly what Thomas Tuchel wants, and has that ability to drive, and has actually got a shot in him as well. So if he ever gets an opportunity from the right side or in the middle, he's going to give a little bit more impetus than what some of the lads like your Reece James and Azpilicueta, who have been great defensively, but that right side for Thomas Tuchel hasn't been explored enough in this particular back three. So I'll go to you, Amir, first up, before I get Advaid's take on this. Amir, does this deal or transfer rumor, which hasn't materialized, but Athletic has dropped the article saying Chelsea will do anything to get this particular player. They've said that whether Zouma goes the other way or not, that's irrelevant. They're going to do everything possible to get this. Does this make sense to you, this particular player for Thomas Tuchel?
Yep, 100%. Because you mentioned for Thomas Tuchel, that's why I say 100%, because looking at the sort of player he is literally perfectly made for Thomas Tuchel and his brand of football, honestly. I mean, initially, I'm not going to lie, I was not particularly impressed with the links, mainly because it wasn't exactly that I don't rate Koundé. It's more of the fact that one was his height, of course, which everyone got into question. The other one was the fact that we're prioritizing this signing, a backup centre-back over a striker or a midfielder, which is what we need more often, and it's made public knowledge, right, that we need a striker and a DM. So it sort of pissed me off a little bit initially, but the more I dig into this player, the more I realize why Thomas Tuchel wants Koundé, and that this is something I feel like all of us should do, so that we sort of understand, we get it, right? We get it why Thomas Tuchel wants this particular centre back to come to Chelsea at any cost this summer, as the Athletic reported, like you mentioned. And so I just went to FBref as usual, looked at a couple of stats, and he completes 90% of his passes. He's in the 83rd percentile in Europe's all centre backs in Europe's. It's not that high, to be fair, but he attempts 70 passes per game, so that's a lot as well. But his main attributes, right, the ones which really elevate him to the next level are his progressive passes. He makes 4.1 progressive passes per 90, which is so much higher than the rest, and this is per 90 stats, which I'm talking about, right? So his progressive passes, 4.16 per 90. The next, if you compare him to our centre backs, the next is Thiago Silva with 3.6. So that is 0.8 passes per 90 minutes. More progressive than our next best centre back. So I mean, he does not look back. When he's on the ball, all he sees is passing it forward, right? That's all he sees. There's no passing sideways and no passing back.
Very important, right? Like, we've seen Zouma at times where, as fans, we've seen, Zouma, there was a pass forward, just get it forward. And he would go sideways. And it's very important, someone like Jules Koundé, who probably, as the probabilities say with your stats, he will look for that pass forward.
Yep, 100%. And the probability of him finding that pass is also a lot higher than if someone like Zouma. I mean, no disrespect to Zouma, he's a great defender, considering his defensive attributes, but there's no hiding the fact that, he is not that good on the ball. He's not a progressive passer per se. So, that's evident. And the most important bit are his progressive carries. I mean, he is ranked in the 93rd percentile in Europe when it comes to that. And he carries the ball progressively 5.5 times per game. That is incredible. So every time he gets the ball, he drives it forward himself, all the way from defense, all the way up. And
have you seen the recent Have you seen the recent comment from Steve Nicol from ESPN saying that he looks more of a midfielder than a defender, and he was saying that he doesn't understand why Thomas Tuchel's going after him because his stats say that he's more of a midfielder. I mean, Amir, it's funny that the progressive runs, like you would say, that's very much a midfield-esque kind of sort of stats, yeah.
Yep, definitely. I mean, but on the flip side, we do have few of the best ball progressors in Europe in the form of Jorginho and Kovacic. I mean, when you look at the graph, they're ranked definitely towards the higher end. The only player who like basically outperformed them in every ball progression statistic last season was Rodrigo de Paul, who Atletico Madrid have signed, apart from Jorginho, Kovacic. So we're pretty much stable in the midfield department. But yep, like you mentioned, these stats about ball progression, they do not seem like that of a defender at all. They seem like he is, he is that sort of driving through midfielder, but he's not. He's a defender. So it's weird to note that he has such good stats for a midfielder, for a defender. Sorry. And going on about his height, I know that there were some issues about his height, but he wins 3.5 aerial duels per 90. And that puts him in the 85th percentile in defenders across Europe. So he is better than 85% of all the defenders when it comes to heading the ball in Europe.
Get that right, Chelsea fans. He's better than 85% of the defenders in Europe. There you go.
Yeah, for winning the aerial duels. The issue is he loses a lot of it too. I think he has if you compare it to all of our other centre backs, he has the lowest aerial duel win percentage. I mean, it's not low. I think it's still about 64%. So that's decent, I would say. But it could have been slightly better, but he still wins a lot of duels. So that says that he's very tenacious, right? He will go for the ball 100%. If it's a 50-50, you just know he's going to jump and put his head on it, right? That's the sort of player he is. But yeah, in the 2021 La Liga, he ranked 6th in progressive carrying distance, like I said earlier, like 6th in the whole league, right? It's not just defenders, including midfielders, including everything.
That's insane, man. That
is insane. That's genuinely insane. And he ranked 10th in aerials one as well. So like I said earlier, the aerial duels is not something that we have to be concerned about. But yep, so he tackles a lot lesser. That's one thing to note. I mean, he is the sort of player who prefers to read the game and intercept the pass instead of letting the player have it and then, get it off him. So that's one stat where he lacks when you compare it to all of our other centre backs. And then, the interceptions are pretty similar, I would say, compared to the rest of our centre backs. But, the best statistic is actually his pressure success percentage, which is 45.5%. And our next best is Rudiger with 39.8%. So that's another statistic. He likes to, put pressure on the opposing defender right before, like he doesn't wait for them to come. He's going to be there with the high line and the rest of the defense to, sort of cut it out right there, right? Apply pressure to the opposition. So that's one thing that Thomas Tuchel is definitely going to love about him. And another thing was his dribbling percentage. Yep, his dribbling percentage. He completes 74% of his dribbles, so that's a pretty decent amount. But his successful dribbles, that's the biggest plus for him, honestly. 0.97 dribbles per 90, right? So that is madness. I mean, that's 98th percentile when it comes to defenders in Europe. And the second, if you were to compare that to, basically players from Chelsea, the next best is Kurt Zouma with 0.2, right? And his per 90 and Koundé's is 0.97 per 90. So that's some madness right there, I would say personally. But yep, that's about it. So he's a very good ball carrier. He's a very good dribbler. He can get out of pressure very easily. And he's smart enough to make those interceptions. So I would say he would be the perfect right centre-back in Thomas Tuchel's system and an ideal replacement for Azpilicueta. I mean, he is on the decline. We cannot deny that. So I would personally see Koundé as the right centre-back with either Reece James or Hudson-Odoi in the right wing-back position. I would say that's why Thomas Tuchel's after this player, and that's why Chelsea's ready to break the bank for this player.
Brilliant. Amir, that's a lot of stats that you've provided. And I think some very, very interesting stats as well, especially the ball carrying, that ability to drive from that RCB position and, at times break things open in midfield. Sometimes you do need different solutions. And what you've just said, that he gives that extra different flavor. Obviously, defensively, he's not that bad, and something that he could probably get better at. And this is something we'll touch on a little bit more. And I'll touch on the right wing back position as well, whether he could possibly play that. But let's go to Advaid. Advaid, there's a little bit of disrespect that this player is getting from the Chelsea fan base, not from everyone. There are people out there that see the value in him, but obviously, as Amir said, the height factor has come into play. Then the whole thing of, oh, but we've let go of Guehi and Tomori, and now we're going after Jules Koundé. We've got Zouma as well. A lot of people are very upset the fact that we're looking to get rid of Zouma. And I've said it in social media quite a few times that Zouma is someone who just doesn't fit Thomas Tuchel's style. The way Thomas Tuchel wants to play, which is he wants to have excellent ball, ball sort of playing defenders in the back, and someone like Jules Kounde who can carry the ball as well. That's an much added bonus. That's something Thomas Tuchel very much enjoy. But from your perspective, Advaid, from watching Real Madrid and La Liga, what do you think about this particular defender?
So I think that the point where I've seen with the Chelsea fan base, where they're upset about the fact that they've let go of Mark Guehi, as you said, and they've let go
Yeah.
of Tomori, and now you're looking to sign another centre back. But if you look at the deal from just from a player perspective, I feel like from whatever I've seen about Mark Guehi, I think he's a great centre back. But then he also wanted to have a prominent role in the team, if I'm not wrong. He didn't want to be
Yeah.
someone who just be a backup or just start here and there. He wanted consistent game time, and that I don't think is something that he would get at Chelsea at the moment. So, if you look at the deal from Zuma's perspective as well, as you said, he doesn't seem like a player who fits Thomas Tuchel's system. He's not that good on the ball, and he has other abilities, but he's not good on the ball, and that's something Thomas Tuchel appreciates. And if you look at the deal where they say that you're probably going to offer Zuma and cash for Kunde, I think that it's basically a win-win for both parties, because Sevilla actually appreciates Kurt Zuma. They're getting a centre back uh, by losing a centre back, but they're also getting someone who they like and appreciate. And of course, Thomas Tuchel is getting someone who fits his system. So I feel I think there's a bit of overreaction in the in people when they say, "Oh, you're losing Zuma, you're losing these players." But then if you look at it, you're getting a player that perfectly kind of fits what the kind of football that Thomas Tuchel wants to play. So I kind of see this as a win-win. If the deal goes through, that is, of course, Sevilla now just kind of want more for the player. But if that swap really goes through, I think you're getting kind of rid of a player, Zuma, who's good but then who doesn't fit the system, as you said, and you're getting a player who would complement the system and really get what Tuchel is looking forward on the right side. So I think that should be the motive behind this whole deal, that you're getting someone who the manager likes, and of course you need to back the manager. After all, you won the Champions League. So, I mean, and coming to the disrespect about the height and all that, I've watched this player on a number of occasions, and I can tell you one thing, that so we have teams like Alaves, Eibar, I think, in La Liga, Osasuna, teams like that who are really strong aerially. And I think I've seen this tweet or a post or something on Twitter. I think it was by Expected Chelsea. They said that these teams that are really strong aerially, actually, Jules Koundé has done fairly well against them. And in terms of aerial duels, of course, Amea just flooded us with a bucket load of stats, but so we're pretty clear on that point. But then the point I'm trying to make is that, with the aerial duels part of things, he has actually won a lot of aerial duels and was in fact rated one of the best centre backs of last season in La Liga. And
Yeah.
So against these teams that are aerially good, he has actually won a lot of their aerial duels, and this is against strikers who are not particularly short. They're easily 6 feet. I think they're well above 6 feet, and which is of course taller than he is. So as you can see, that it's not only about the height; it also matters about the jump and the kind
Yeah.
of
The
technical,
leap. The
yeah,
leap.
the leap and the technical prowess that a player possesses, as opposed to just the height. Because I mean, if you look at some of the great defenders in the past, like Puyol, and I
Puyol.
know
Yeah.
I know I'm saying this as a Real Madrid fan, but then I gotta I gotta agree that he's one of the best in the league. He has been one of the best in the league. So if you look at
Cannavaro is
Puyol,
another one.
yeah,
Fabio Cannavaro.
and
Fabio Cannavaro.
yep, and Baresi as well. So all
Mm.
these players, they're not particularly like 6 feet 5 or some, gigantic, defenders. They weren't, the tallest of people as well, but then they turned out to be amazing center backs. So I think the stigma on the height should really be kept under control, because it's not only about that, and you have to keep in mind that Jules Koundé is only 22 and he's still a young
Yeah.
player. He's one for the future. So under a great coach like Thomas Tuchel, I think he can really develop some of the weaknesses and some of the, with the tackling and stuff which Amaya mentioned. So I think he can
Mm.
really improve on that. And then the main fact is that you're getting a really good ball playing center back and someone
Yeah.
who's been really clutch for Sevilla. I think you've seen some of the clips where he's just had those last stitch moments where he's read the game well and prevented a goal. And you've seen even Messi's free kick where he just read the
Yeah. The
ball.
header.
Yeah, the header. Yeah, he read the ball well, and then just if he wasn't there in that particular
That's a
position, that
goal.
that was a
That's a
goal.
goal.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I think you need to look at the positives, and just I think from a Chelsea fan's perspective, you just got to back the manager, because of course this seems more of a manager signing than anything else. So yeah, I think that pretty much sums it up for Kunde.
Yeah, man. Just before I go back to me and asking a few more questions, and then also provide my own opinion as well. Just quickly, Vague, how much is he rated by the Real Madrid fans as well? Because I believe you guys were at once a little bit rumored with this particular player, with obviously Sergio Ramos and Varane leaving. There was probably some sort of conversation that maybe someone like Jules Kounde comes in and has a position. But I want to hear from a Real's perspective. Is he rated highly? Not just in La Liga, but within the Real Madrid fan base as well.
Yeah, he is. I mean, I'm to be honest with you, I was a little bummed out on the fact that Chelsea were all advanced for him, because I really really wanted us to sign a centre back after losing Ramos and Varane, because I just don't see that kind of confidence in going into the next season without these two elite centre backs that we have lost. And
Yeah,
I really wanted us to sign. So it was either Jules Koundé or Pau Torres. They're two of
yeah.
the hot prospects in La Liga when it comes to centre backs. So I really wanted us to sign either of them, and so that just shows, because it's not just me, and it's the entire fan base that really rates Jules Koundé, and
Yeah.
I think he would have been like the near perfect replacement to Rafael Varane, especially because
Mm,
Varane he's also like he's been that kind of player who's developed his game and become a more of a progressor of the ball, especially last season because of how Ramos was injured often. He was often the
mm.
person driving the ball forward, and Jules Koundé is someone who does that. So I really really wanted us to sign him, and I think we would have gone for him, if we had some cash. Know what I'm saying? And if
I love the way Advait just said, if we had some cash.
and if we weren't dropping all our everything on Mbappe, I think we would have probably gone for Koundé, and I think we
Mm,
might have struck a fair deal as well. So Yeah, I mean, he's really rated in the Real Madrid fan base, not just Real Madrid, but even the entire of La Liga. And if this deal goes through and if he does join Chelsea, I think you're getting a really exciting prospect in that position.
Brilliant, brilliant. Amir, I want to now circle back to you. Obviously, the whole Kurt Zuma situation, Amir, that kind of got a bit out of control within the last 24 hours. How looks like, I know we've kind of touched on that perhaps Zuma could go the other way, but the information now is that Zuma may not want to leave London. That's why West Ham's putting a bid. But then again, the Athletic, as we've mentioned, have said that Chelsea will do anything. So even if Zuma doesn't want to leave, they'll find a way to get this particular player because they've been scouting him for 2 years. And regardless, this is going to happen whether we do a player plus cash or just simply cash. I think Sevilla themselves probably prefers the cash as well. That way they can find their own replacement and whatnot. I know Adved said that Zouma would be a good, scenario for them. They get cash plus a particular defender. But then again, Zouma may not fit that style, the way Sevilla plays. And also, as I said, Zouma may not want to leave London. At the end of the day, they are human beings, so they've got to think about their family and what's best for them. But Amir, from your perspective, I do want to circle back on a particular note before we end things, is that we've talked about the stats, we've talked about how much he's rated in Spain, and even Real Madrid were after him. A lot of people are saying that Amir, Jules Kounde is perhaps going to be a third choice. He's not going to get that much time. I'm starting to think now, when I really deep it, Amir, and I want you to really deep it as well with me, is that I feel like, as I said initially, that there was issues in the right side from a Chelsea's point of view. We didn't get enough impetus. Both Azpilicueta and Reece James are very good defensively, but when going forward, they didn't give us that purchase all the time. Sometimes they did. Reece James against Man City, fantastic. I believe it was in the Premier League, that particular match where he absolutely destroyed Mendy. Azpilicueta at times provided goals and assists as well, which was great, but not on a regular basis. We did see those two at times switch, especially against Real Madrid, where Aspi was playing as a right wing back at times. And then you had Christensen playing as a RCB. So question to you, Amir. Could we perhaps see a lot of Jules Kounde? Maybe not in the beginning. Probably there's some adaptation period in the beginning. But down the track, do you probably see a lot of Jules Kounde in RCB and maybe even right wing back because of his pace and good ball control?
It could be because I think he does average a lot of dribbles for a centre back, particularly, right? I mean, he averages more dribbles than most fullbacks do attempt or complete. So I think he has that going for him. But yep, I think we could. I think the right side is going to be, Azpilicueta, Reece James, Hudson-Odoi, and Kounde, right? For those two positions, I think Hudson-Odoi probably the right wing back against some of these low block sides. Reece James is probably going to start in the right wing back against like some of the best, sort of teams in the world. For example, he pocketed Sterling in the right wing back position in the Champions League final, so he's pretty good at that. So probably Reece James right wing back there. And, Azpilicueta is clearly declining. I don't think we can hide from the fact anymore. I mean, we know that he's a great servant, but even towards the end of last season, right, you could see that he could not finish those 3 games in a week. He would often come off the 60th minute mark or 70th minute mark because he's not fit enough to finish those 2 or 3 games every week.
I mean, it's reasonable. He's like, it's reasonable. 32. Yeah.
Exactly. So, I mean, it's fair play to him, right? He's been a great servant. And under Mourinho and even under Antonio Conte, he used to play week in, week out, like every single game, right? Yeah. He used to feature. So fair play to him. I mean, the age is catching up to him. There's nothing we can do about that. But yep, I think that further enforces my point that we could see Jules Kounde as the right centre-back, along with either Reece James or Hudson-Odoi in the right wing-back position. Yeah. Or we could also see Reece James as the right centre-back and Kounde as the right wing-back, or even Hudson-Odoi as the right wing-back. So if we do go with that, then I can see Kounde missing out. But yep, I think Azpilicueta's role is gonna take a hit this season, honestly, because I mean he's also old, he's declining. I think he deserves a bit of rest every now here and then. So I could see Kounde getting a lot more action than people think. He would also be very good on the left. Don't get me wrong, that's one more thing, because Rudiger is right-footed and he plays on the left too. right? So
Yeah.
he could also fit in instead of Rudiger at times. So yep, I think it's going to be very interesting. But Koundé offers something completely different from all of our centre backs. His drive, his progression, ball progression for a defender is absolutely insane. So he is going to take a lot of the burden off the shoulders off of our midfield pivot to progress the ball. So which is good for him.
Yeah.
So that reduces our dependence on Jorginho Kovacic at times, if I can make that
Yeah.
statement as well. So if Jorginho
Yeah.
supposedly gets marked out of the game, we can have Koundé to progress the ball front instead of him, right? So that offers another threat as well for the opposition. So yep, I think Koundé is going to be a pretty good signing if he does end up coming. And I think he can play in a back four as well. I mean, he's played in a back four this season alongside Diego Carlos. So I think he would actually be brilliant next to Thiago Silva. I think Koundé, Thiago Silva would be a very good defensive partnership. But yep, I think as things stand, I would personally go, for the first choice, I would personally go Koundé right centre back, Thiago Silva centre back, and Rudiger left centre back. I think that's the back three that I would assume would be our first choice. Of course, Azpilicueta is there to be in consideration as well. But yep, I think that's how I see it. And I think Christensen's main role is going to be Thiago Silva's understudy this season. I don't think he's going to play on the right like he did last season, especially with this signing more than confirming that. So I think Koundé can play as the left centre back, right centre back, and right wing back, and he's going to put in a shift wherever he plays. So he's actually going to play a lot more than people think. He's definitely not going to be, that third choice centre back. And if anything, I think Thiago Silva is going to have the least playing time this season of all the centre backs compared to, I mean, not that he's a bad player, but he's 37 almost. So I think
he's a grandpa.
I mean, like, let him rest, isn't it? But yeah, I think that's how I see Koundé playing, either on the right centre back, left centre back, or as the right wing back. And the middle, I don't think he's going to play in the middle. It's probably going to be Christensen or Thiago Silva playing through the middle. But that's how I see Koundé fitting in. And I think he's going to get a lot more games than people think he is.
No, I have to agree with you. I mean, I absolutely have to agree with you. I actually didn't even think about it. He could possibly be a backup for Rudiger as well when Rudiger needs a bit of rest, because let's be honest, there's no genuine backup in that particular spot at the moment. And someone like Koundé could possibly get those minutes as well when Rudiger needs a bit of rest. The whole thing about Christensen, you're absolutely right. He'll probably rotate with Thiago Silva. Let's be honest, as you said, Thiago himself won't be able to play 2-3 games per week. There's no way he's going to be able to do that. And he'll be happy to play that 1 per week or maybe max 2 a week. And then you have someone like Christensen come in. And then obviously you got to take in consideration of, form, injuries and whatnot. And I think when you have a plethora of defenders that can play with the ball comfortably, that's going to be the biggest, game changer for Thomas Tuchel, that whenever someone is out of form or whenever someone is injured, he can pretty much just bring in someone who just seamlessly fits the whole situation. And I think that is going to be the game changer for Thomas Tuchel. Ladies and gentlemen, we've heard from La Liga expert, Real Madrid fan. I mean, I'm probably saying a bit too much in terms of being an expert, but he's still a Real Madrid fan. You've heard Edved say that they're absolutely bummed off a little bit that they're not going for a player like Koundé. Amir has provided you, as Edved said, flooded you with a whole heap of stats, which have actually opened a lot of my mind as well as to what he can actually do for Thomas Tuchel. Gives a really good picture as to why Thomas Tuchel is going for a particular defender like him, and hopefully my perspective as to why we are going for him in the first place, in the sense of Guehi, Tomori, Zouma all leaving. There was a necessity that just came about this particular situation that we need a centre back. Yeah, when you look back from the beginning, when everything was as is, you probably would have said that we don't need a defender. But now that's not the case. Things have moved on and we do need a defender. Ladies and gentlemen, hope you guys have enjoyed this show, the whole Jules Koundé episode. If you've really liked it, smash the like button right now. And if you're here for the first time, subscribe. We're on the way to 7,000 subscribers now. So don't forget to like. It's very, very important. And check out both the boys. Their socials will be in the description. Amir is doing a bit of madness on his own as well with the YouTube channel. So do check that out and subscribe. So yeah, until next time, everyone, take care and see you.